Brandon coming to you. This week I'm on the ground, demoted from our, no, we're broke down for a couple days. Plus we're waiting for some corn to dry down. So going to do this one from the field. A couple things I really want to talk about that I noticed. We got moved up to Aurora just in time for kind of the rainy, dreary weather tail end of last week. Gave me some time to go out in some fields. Very concerned about some of the standability issues that could be facing us. We were in some fields that had been scouted 10 days before, and we're starting to see some stock rot issues, some standability. So even if you've been in your fields here, in the last 10 days, you might want to go recheck. A couple reasons why that is. Number one, whenever we see this high heat, we've had a couple spells right around the 1st of September, and then we think back about a week ago here when we were in those 90s a weekend ago. That'll push these plants, and they'll deteriorate pretty quick if you have any stock disease set in. So, what might have looked good 2 weeks ago can change in a hurry. So it's important that we're out here, doing our, just walk through your fields. We can, if you're got a little downtime or whatever, send your kid out, whatever it takes, but just push some of these stalks. Now we've got pretty good plant health here, but you'll see right here, I got one to bend and break right in the middle. So we're seeing that disease anywhere from down at the crown all the way up to a node or two down. So be aware of that. Schedule harvest accordingly. I know some of you like to wait for that corn to dry down, but here's your warning. Make sure you're watching those fields, and we don't like to pay the drying costs. We don't like to have to run stuff through the dryer, but be aware of what's going on out there and weigh the risks. The other thing you can do, obviously, is split some stalks open. We want to see that perfectly white, healthy pith in there still, and that indicates a good, healthy stalk. But if you're starting to see plants where the ears are hanging down or have been hanging down for a while, I always look for the easy way to direct me when I scout. If I see an ear hanging, I'm immediately going to that plant and I'm giving it the good old push test, move it across, pinching the nodes, different things like that, just to see what's going on. If I do find one, I always like to split them just to see what discoloration is. Is it black, more of like an anthracnose, or is it purple, which could indicate like a fusarium? That can help us a little bit determining when that disease hit the plant. What we've got to remember is most of these diseases infect the plant early. Stock diseases are not something usually controlled by your in-season fungicide, but that's your early season fungicide, either in furrow or in that V3 to V5 time frame. So that's when the stock rot gets in, or those diseases get into the plant. They express themselves when we get a lot of this late heat. And so I expect that we'll see some issues this year based on the fields we looked at and just the weather pattern. So that's kind of my message today is as we get into this corn, I know a lot of you will be hitting corn here. The bean harvest will be wrapping up, but be proactive, please. We put all this work in. We don't want our corn flat on the ground. Leave those bushels on the table. Plus, I know it's very frustrating when you have to go slow. So couple other things, again, as you finish up your bean harvest, get those fields grid sampled. You continue to hear the stories of the fertilizer markets and what they're doing, supply issues potentially ahead on different items. Be proactive there. Get the grid samples back. Know what you need to be putting on. Don't guess at it. Don't do what we've always done. Don't just shut the well off and say, I'm not going to put anything on. If we need to, let's get that information to make a good decision. Get the grid samples done. Get the fall fertilizer on. I know we got cover crops going on. We'll be able to combine some of our cover crop applications potentially with the dry fertilizer application. So visit us about that, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.